Let me ask you a question, Paggis. Let me ask you a question. Let's say you got home and, I don't know, your wife is banging the next door neighbour.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be sufficient if your wife said, oh, I've got a model that explains how I didn't cheat on you?
So, technically,
Yes or no?
most likely,
Why is it
But
whenever I
yes.
ask Globers yes or no questions, I never get a yes or no answer?
because the world isn't that simple.
He's about to explain how technically his wife could come up with a model that may be possible, and he'd have to consider it.
It could, one
Please
possibility,
answer either yes or no.
but it isn't a yes or no answer.
Are you serious? You're saying that your wife can construct a model to explain how she didn't cheat on you after she banged the next door neighbour?
Yes.
This is the level of sophistry we're dealing with.
So, let me tell you this. Let's say my wife, let's say,
Like, seriously, you're going to justify this?
my wife went on Amazon and she found this amazing new thing, which a sex robot.
This is the ultimate cuckery, my friend.
You're not, but you guys are not letting him finish. I'll finish for him though. Because
He's talking about sex robots, Eli.
Hold on. But here's the conclusion of his argument. The next door neighbor has been proven to be a sex robot and is not a human being that is saying. Because no, that's not our next door neighbor. That's a sex robot that lives next door.
Clearly, if your wife is banging the next door neighbour, she objectively cheated on you. The end. There's no model that can explain that away. Can't be done.
I think his wife is banging the next door neighbor right now.
Probably. She's probably sick of his obfuscation. She's like, Maggie, so are you going to have sex with me tonight or not? And he's like, well, technically I could, maybe, possibly, maybe I could build a model. And then she's like, fuck it, I'm going to just do it. Can you construct a model to explain away the fact that your wife banged the next door neighbour?
Yes.
Paget, quickly, tell us what you imagine that model might be.
So one possible model that it might be is that, she went onto Amazon and there was one dude who had invented this new sex robot who conveniently looked like the next door neighbor. It was like an exact replica, but then she buys it, she gets it, and she's having sex with the sex robot. Then I enter the door. Then I enter the room. And I see she's banging something which resembles and is in every way looking exactly like the neighbor. So,
I mean, this is what they call in America the good old college try, right?
so then look. But when I am looking at the thing, then I see, oh, she's banging something. It couldn't be the sex robot, but it could also be the next door neighbor who just walked over and is banging her. And I have no way this difference. Like when I enter the room, both possibilities are true. But as you said, which one is more likely? Yes, it's more likely that my wife banged the next door neighbor, but there's still a small, very, very small possibility that it was the sex robot. But then I go over and I look at if the next door neighbor is in his house, and then I see, oh no, he's not at home. Oh, yes, this model is false. Then I have proven that model was false.
You enter that room, and what you see is your neighbor banging your wife, and you're like, holy smokes, it's my neighbor banging my wife. And then that moment goes through your mind when you're like, wait a minute, there might be an explanation for this. And you start thinking about Amazon, and you start going through the price range, you start thinking, how much money does my wife have? Is that even possible? But for that initial view, you'd be thinking, well, I'm going to be going with what I see. And what I see is that my neighbor's banging my wife. So that would be the logical assumption at that point, wouldn't it?
No, what?
Occam's razor. It looks like your neighbor. Whether or not you think it's some high-tech sex doll from Japan, it looks like your neighbor. So you're going to be thinking, oh, that's my neighbor. And then it might come into your head, but, oh wait, my wife, she's kind of loaded, she was really looking into those sex dolls, there's a small possibility. But the most logical assumption would be what you observe directly, which is your neighbor, right?
So, you can actually just verify whether it's a sex robot or not. You can just go up to it and go, oh, here's a battery. Or, oh no, it's a human.
So, what I am observing when I enter the room, if I start with that is not actually, I don't observe my neighbor. I observe something which looks like my neighbor. I observe something which looks like a flatter.
Something that it is a robot.
And then,
When you get up to
please, like, I can't finish a whole sentence. This is insane.
Sorry, does that mean that when you wake up in the morning, you see whoever you live with in your house, you go, well, that's not actually them. It looks like them, but that could be something else entirely. Is that how you think?
Technically, yes.
Technically,
Right,
yes.
so any talk of robots is stupid. No one ever mentioned robot in the example. I know that because I gave the example. There are no robots. Let's leave the robots
yes,
to one side.
and you
I'm
could
sorry,
put in
man,
another
but you
model.
sound like one of those people that, like, even if you walked into the room and neighbor was banging out your wife and you realized it wasn't a sex robot, you'd be like, well, the neighbor would be like, well, I'm sorry, man, I just fell, and somehow I just happened to wind up inside her. And you'd be like, oh, shit, that makes sense.
Yeah, we can make a model for
That
that.
makes sense to you.
I'll have to get that step from the front door removed so it doesn't happen again.
So yes, that is true.
Yes,
I agree
that is true.
with that
Oh,
statement.
man. Brother man, you need to go get your man card back. I don't know where it went.
Bro, you know, this would have been much easier for you if you'd have just said at the start, you know what, yeah, if there was a dude banging my wife, I'd be pissed. This would have been over 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, this is an infinite regress fallacy.
But I'm trying to explain my point.
I think to be fair to Pagas, we should let him explain how the neighbor could be a sex doll when he gets shit on.
Robots fucking exist, and we've experienced them.
Be another model, then we know the old model was wrong. But then give him a new model.
Wait,
which explain that he fell, right?
No, this I need to get. So Pagas, right? You check the battery. The battery is not there. It is a human. Now you're saying there's potentially another model. Could you tell me what that model would be, please, Pagas?
So then that model could be like, oh yeah, he fell. He fell and well, actually, that's decided. So, yes. But, what is
It's not even Italian. It's not even Italian.
Pagas, so he fell.
He just
No,
repeated
Pagas,
exactly what I said.
Pagas, I need you to be serious. Pagas, I need you to be serious. What is this other model? After you check the battery pack, it's not a battery pack. What's the model that could explain it?
I think your example, as you said, was very good with the folly. But then I look, what is most probable? What is the most likely? And I see, oh, it's very unlikely that he fell and that happened. So therefore, I choose to believe and I choose to use the model which is the most likely, which is that my wife banged the next door neighbor and therefore I am divorced. I can't know that she's objectively having sex with the man next door.
Wait a
But we
minute.
can because we verified it.
No, but the verifying, there might be another explanation.
What the fuck are you talking about? We verified it. We checked that the battery pack isn't there. We checked that the penis is in the vagina. It happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
And now we're constructing a model to make the cheating go away.
So the fundamental way of what I am saying is that I can't technically give you an exact model because the whole premise of this is that it is something which is beyond my understanding, beyond my knowledge. It could have been, like say, an otherworldly, all-powerful being, like a demon or something, which then altered the visions and my memory, as well as my wife's.
Now you can't see evil demons, right? Okay. Sonny, what were you going to say?
And that Then we look, oh, this bottle, it's an explanation. It's actually likely, but it's very unlikely. It's extremely unlikely.
Yeah, this is
therefore, we don't look at
Sonny,
that.
go ahead. Pagus, you're embarrassing yourself now.
Pause. Hey, Pagus, I just have one question, okay? Very simple.
Go ahead, please.
Do you believe there is such a thing as objective reality?
No.
There you go, folks.
That's it. Nail on the head.
Yes, I believe there is one, but I don't believe we can actually, we can't figure it out.
bro. Dude, are you objectively on Discord right now talking to us?
I can't actually know that. And as Roger,
Oh, wow.
as you said,
Then you're a psycho. Wish we had
Well,
no
then you
business
can't
talking
objectively
to you.
know if I mute you. So, I'm just going to do that.
Yep, that's a good place to put a pause on that, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And really